Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Grand Cat, and today we're going to be doing the Elimination Chamber watch party, the predictions, and you're also going to see the first Royal Rumble 24 Fusion Pro that I will be doing once I have finished this, so that's something to stay tuned for at the end of the video. So, let's take a look at the matches. On the pre-show, we have the Women's Tag Team Championship match with the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane with Io Sky, against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to count because it's not technically Elimination Chamber, it's the pre-show. So it's not on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view itself, is what comes before the pay-per-view. So I would consider leaving that one out and just going for the 4 matches that we have officially confirmed for the Elimination Chamber. Of course, alongside the 4 matches, we do have the Grayson Waller effect that's going to have Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes on it, but that is not a match, that's just going to be a thing that's there to kind of set up WrestleMania a bit more. But let's look at what we have. So we have the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship between the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, versus New Catch Republic, which is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, formerly British Strong Style. Then we have the Women's Elimination Chamber with a Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania XL on the line. It is Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus Raquel Rodriguez. Then, of course, we have the singles match for the Women's World Championship, which is Rhea Bloody Ripley against Nia Jax. And lastly, we have the Men's Elimination Chamber match for a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania XL. It is Randy Orton versus Bobby Lashley versus L.A. Knight. Yeah! Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul versus Drew McIntyre. So let's go through these one at a time, and I shall tell you what my predictions are. So first of all, we have the Tag Team Championship match. The Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Well, Judgment Day have been Tag Team Champions for so long, I think it would be a disservice for them to just lose the belt the month before WrestleMania. Also, Judgment Day have this storyline with R-Truth going, and what I think the match at Mania is going to be, what it's been setting up to, is Miz and R-Truth, the Awesome Truth, going up against the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest at WrestleMania. Whether the Miz and R-Truth win the belts off of Judgment Day or not remains to be seen, but I think that's the match that's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be for the Tag Team Championships. So I am going to lock in Finn Balor and Damian Priest for winning against Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. So let's go ahead and just do that right now. It is Finn Balor and Damian Priest. So, unfortunately, I don't have any more up-to-date recent ones, so we're just going to have to go for some of the older ones, which means we're going to get some lesser points here, but there is our Damian Priest. And for Finn Balor, of course, we have the Demon Finn Balor, which certainly counts. So, that is what I have my lock-in for the Tag Team title match. Then we have let's do the championship matches first. Rhea Bloody Ripley versus Nia Jax. Now, Nia Jax has been doing a fantastic job of trying to convince people that she might be able to win the belt. She also came off as super strong, but I just don't see Rhea Ripley losing in her hometown of Perth, where the Elimination Chamber is taking place in Australia, a month before having retained the belt for an entire year since she defeated Charlotte Flair at last year's WrestleMania. So I think this is 100% a lock-in for Rhea Ripley. I as much as I would love to see Nia Jax champion, I don't think this is the right moment. I think maybe some point after WrestleMania, maybe Backlash, maybe somewhere down the line, Nia Jax would be an amazing champion. I think, well, we'll get into who I think Rhea Ripley is going to take on at WrestleMania. But I think Rhea is most certainly walking out of the chamber as champion. So unfortunately, I don't have any Royal Rumble 24 Rhea Ripley's, so we're going to have to go for this Tundra Rhea Ripley instead. So, the Women's Elimination Chamber match, since we were just talking about it, let's go over the competitors and we will decide what we think. Raquel Rodriguez has only just returned. I don't think she is headlining against Rhea Ripley. And Naomi, of course, just returned once again. Don't see her in the main event spot, not yet. Tiffany Stratton, amazing come up from NXT, and I reckon a year, 2 years down the line, she could be main eventing WrestleManias. She is the total package. She is amazing on the mic. She's an amazing performer. She was NXT champion for a decade, or that's what it felt like, for a reason. She is the tippy top of the tippy top, but she is not going to be in the main event of WrestleMania this year. Liv Morgan, I think, is past her prime, unfortunately. I think a few years ago, Liv Morgan would have had a solid chance of being the one to win the Chamber, but I think that time has passed. I don't see Liv Morgan. I think she's fallen to mid-card. I think she's very similar to Nikki Cross, where at one point she was champion and she was in that main event slot, but like now she has been surpassed and taken over, and it's a real shame for Liv Morgan as well. Bianca Belair. Now, Bianca Belair is the threat because she's the one that could potentially do the upset, and I would really, really hate if she did, because last year's WrestleMania, walking out of WrestleMania, I believe it was Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley that both walked out as champion, and no one really wanted Bianca Belair to win. She's very, very much. She was becoming the Super Cena. Thankfully, the belt was taken off her, and now she's scratching her way. She's struggling her way up. People thought she might win the Royal Rumble. I thought it was going to be Becky Lynch, but I am certain that Becky Lynch is the one who's going to be winning the Elimination Chamber. I'm certain that it's going to be Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. I think it also goes more into the four horsewomen. I think Rhea is kind of going through them. Of course, she can't do Sasha Banks or Monet as she is, but she's on her way to AEW at Big Business, which is a terrible pay-per-view name. But I 100% think locked in to the women's main event of WrestleMania 40 is going to be Becky Lynch versus Rhea Bloody Ripley. That is what I think is going to happen. Now the men's men's Elimination Chamber, sorry, not Royal Rumble. Do I think Logan Paul is winning? No. I think Logan Paul is going to defend his US Championship at WrestleMania. Do I think Kevin Owens is winning? No. I think Kevin Owens is going to be against Logan Paul at WrestleMania 40 for the US Championship, because they have been doing a lot of setup, a lot of work together. So that's what I'm thinking, that they're pushing them two together. LA Knight. Yeah. I would love for LA Knight to win, but I just don't see it happening. I think he's going to get the big babyface push, but I'm not even sure what his plan is for WrestleMania at this point. Bobby Lashley, again, I don't see it happening. Again, I'm not sure what Bobby Lashley's role is going to be at WrestleMania. And then it's between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Now, everything points to Drew McIntyre being the one who is going to win the Elimination Chamber. He's going to go on to WrestleMania to take on Seth Rollins. And Drew McIntyre has been doing a load of promos for this, about ruining CM Punk, about taking CM Punk out of the main event of WrestleMania, about taking on Seth Rollins, wanting Cody to go for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, also known as the UWU Championship, so that Drew McIntyre could face Seth Rollins for the world title. And it really, really seems like Drew McIntyre is going to win. However, then you have this big legend, Randy Orton, that has a lot of push backstage. And would they go for Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins? I personally think it should be Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, because then you have the face Seth Rollins against the heel Drew McIntyre, and also Drew McIntyre is he's kind of wavering on that. He's saying that everything I do is, like, I have to make sure it makes sense. Losing his mother and everything, being away from Scotland, and having to fight out in America and such. He needs to make sure that the sacrifices are worth it. He needs to prove to himself that he's still capable, worthy of being the world champion. But Randy Orton not having a proper feud going into WrestleMania scares me a little bit. I am going to put Drew McIntyre in for winning. So let's go to males. We do have a male Drew McIntyre. He's not leveled up. He is still level 0. If you get him up to level 100, those points will increase. But then we have one space. So we have put down everyone that I think is going to win. We have got ourselves the tag team champions retaining Damian Priest and Finn Balor. We have Rhea Ripley winning. We have Becky Lynch winning the Elimination Chamber. We have Drew McIntyre winning the Elimination Chamber. And then we have one spare slot. So what you can use the spare slot for is, well, in terms of the Kabuki Warriors versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, I don't think there's a chance in hell of Asuka and Kairi Sane losing the Women's Tag Team Championships to Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell on the pre-show of the Elimination Chamber. I think Asuka and Kairi Sane have to go into WrestleMania as Tag Team Champions to have the Damage Control storyline, to have Bayley against Damage Control and such. So I think that's what the storyline is going to have to be there. I don't know why they would put the belts on Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, if I'm honest. Is Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae together because of the Way? Because that's disbanded. Because Johnny Gargano is now part of DIY once again. And Tommaso Ciampa I don't think was ever part of the Way. Austin Theory certainly isn't part of the Way any longer. And Dexter Lumis hasn't been seen for a long, long time. So is Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell like the two remaining members of the Way? Seems a very strange tag team match. So, if I were you, I would either consider putting in Asuka or Kairi Sane, or having a backup for who you think is going to win. Now, my backup for the Elimination Chamber, if Drew McIntyre doesn't win it, I don't see Lashley, LA Knight, Kevin Owens, or Logan Paul winning it. I think the next one that's most likely is Randy Orton. I wouldn't like Randy Orton to win it, but I think he's the most likely. In terms of the women's Elimination Chamber, I don't see Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, or Raquel Rodriguez winning. I think it should be Becky Lynch, but if it's not Becky Lynch, then it's Bianca Belair, because Bianca Belair is once again in one of those situations where she doesn't have a storyline going into WrestleMania. And the thing about the Elimination Chamber is I could very horrifically see the situation where Nia Jax loses to Rhea Ripley earlier in the night, then the Elimination Chamber happens. It's Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair in the final two, and Nia Jax runs into the Elimination Chamber and costs Becky Lynch the match, and then it's Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. And then you have a storyline where Nia Jax and Becky Lynch can settle their feud, that they really don't like one another. It gives Nia Jax something to do at WrestleMania. It gives Bianca Belair something to do at WrestleMania. And unfortunately, that makes sense in my head, which is terrible, because the match at WrestleMania that I want to see is Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. But Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley are, for all intents and purposes, both faces. And I think Bianca Belair could very easily turn heel if she wanted to. I think she could have a large ego going into WrestleMania, saying that she's definitely going to beat Rhea Ripley. Then you could have Rhea Ripley coming off as the babyface in that scenario. I think Rhea Ripley is really the babyface at the moment. She's supposed to be heel because she's supposed to be with Judgment Day and such, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley, if that did happen at WrestleMania, one of them would have to turn heel. And I don't think WWE wants either of them turning heel. So unfortunately, Bianca Belair seems like the most likely backup, which is atrocious. Let's really hope that isn't what happens. So I'm going to put in a Bianca Belair. If I have one, I'm not even sure that I do, to be honest with you. But let's take a quick gander here. Sure, nope. Oh, we don't have any Bianca Belairs. Well, that sucks. In that case, what will we do instead? In that case, I'm going to put in Kairi Sane, because I think Kairi Sane and Asuka will win on the pre-show, but I don't know if that's going to count. So, those are my predictions. Once again, let's just go over it one last time for the people that skipped to the end of the video, which, very naughty of you, go back and watch the entire video. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, are 100% beating Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. The Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damien Priest, are 100% beating Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. I think that is going to be Finn Balor and Damien Priest versus R-Truth and Miz at WrestleMania. The Women's Elimination Chamber is either going to be Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair. It's not going to be anyone in between. I would really like it to be Becky Lynch, but I could see WWE doing the heel move and having Bianca Belair win instead. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. I would love Nia Jax to win, but she has no chance in hell. It is 100% going to be Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania, and she's going to go in defending the belt, having never lost for an entire year, or having never lost the title for an entire year. And then we have the Men's Elimination Chamber, which it's either Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton, but I am 90% in favour of Drew McIntyre. The 10% is because I have watched wrestling for a long time, and I know when someone becomes of a legend status, they have a bit more pull and they can change a scenario. We've seen it many times in the past where someone was supposed to win, someone was supposed to do something. My mind goes back to Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog in Manchester for the European Championship, which British Bulldog dedicated the match to his sister, who had I believe it was a terminal illness, and British Bulldog was supposed to go in and win, and then Shawn Michaels got in Vince McMahon's ear and said, "Hey, I think it would be much funnier if I won." And lo and behold, that's what happened. So let's hope that something like that doesn't happen. I mean, I'm the thing is, you can even compare the relationship between Shawn Michaels and Vince to the relationship of Randy Orton, who was the young member in Evolution that was Triple H's faction, and Triple H is the guy in charge. So I could see Triple H maybe putting his boy Randy Orton in a position where he would be in a WrestleMania main event status against someone like Seth Rollins. We've seen it happen before. Randy Orton should not have beaten Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the title. He shouldn't have beaten The Fiend either, and yet both times he did, and we don't know the politics behind that backstage or what the storyline was supposed to be, but that happened, and yeah, that one worries me. But the storyline that makes most sense is Drew McIntyre. And if Drew McIntyre doesn't win the Elimination Chamber, I don't know what the hell he does at WrestleMania. But there we are, folks. That is it for the watch party. And as I promised at the start of the video, let us go into Combinable. And we have our first Royal Rumble 24 Fusion. It is Austin Theory. And yes, we are going to combine, and we're going to use Overrun because it's much better than Reversal. And there we go. There he is, folks. But that's it for this video, folks. I really hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy it, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. And if you are subscribed, make sure you click that notification icon so you can see when more of these glorious little videos go up. And we shall see you all in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.